There you go. Awesome. Alrighty, so today we are going to talk about weathering, chemical and mechanical, but we're only going to talk about the mechanical weathering today. Okay, look at these pictures and in your mind, look at some observations, and what do all these pictures have in common? Think to yourself for a few minutes or a few seconds about what all these things have in common. And when you're ready, turn to your partner and tell them what all of these pictures have in common or something you noticed. All right, who can tell me something that all of these pictures have in common? Caroline. They're all rocks. Thank you. Skylar? The rocks. The rocks, what they look like is caused by weathering? Thank you. Dylan? Clouds. You're right, they do. There are a lot of clouds in the pictures. Thank you. Tommy?
Those pictures are all taken outside.
They are all taken outside. Izzy?
They all are weirdly shaped and have crevices.
They're shaped and have crevices. Those are some big words. Thank you. Tess, did you have something? She stole it?
Yes. Yeah.
Ah, good job.
We did.
Caden?
They all look unreal.
They look unreal?
Because if weathering wasn't real, I would say that's probably impossible.
Ah, you think it's impossible that they look like this?
Yeah, if there wasn't weathering.
If there wasn't weathering. Nice clarification. Nate?
You could see like a RV camper in the bottom middle.
That? Maybe.
It's a lake.
I don't know. Amelia?
They're all bumpy.
They're all bumpy. Archer?
They burn rocks that I don't know, but they all look like cracked.
They look like what?
They all look all cracked.
The rocks all look cracked now? Yeah, good.
They have like shapes.
Good observation. Yes, Porter?
They look old.
They do look old. All right, last one. Yes, Adam?
They seem to be like in a mountain type thing.
Yeah, they seem to be in a mountain.
Biome.
Now, you guys got some good observations out of this and kind of nailed what I was trying to get at. It looks like, so these rocks haven't always looked like this, have they? No. So they have been breaking down over thousands and thousands of years. And so what they used to look like looks totally different than what they look like now. And that is called weathering.
Cayman Hopkins, please return to your classroom. Cayman Hopkins, please return to your classroom.
It's okay. So all of these rocks used to look like something else and now look like this. And they all broke down. And this breaking down is called weathering. So I want you to do this with me. Weathering, breaking down. Perfect. What is this? Weathering, breaking down. What is weathering?
Weathering,
Breaking down. So weathering is the breaking down of rocks. So these rocks used to look different, and now this is what they look like. But these pictures were probably taken a couple weeks ago. And the rocks that are here probably look different now because there's a constant weathering or constant breaking down of these rocks. Where'd my pen go? Alrighty, let's hear. So there are 4 things that cause the breaking down of rock. The first one is flowing waters, such as rivers and ocean waves. So think of when you're at the beach and you see all that sand. What is sand? Tommy?
broken down.
Sand is broken down rocks. So sand is tiny, 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 tiny pieces of rocks that have been broken down or weathered. What is weathering?
Breaking down.
breaking down. Weathering is breaking down. So water, as it goes over these rocks in the ocean, is breaking them down into these tiny, tiny little pieces of rock. And that's how you get sand. Another one is when you're walking through a river, you know how the rocks are really, really smooth? So think about water going over these rocks. In the last picture, the rocks were all pointy and sharp, right? One second, I'll get right to you guys. So when the water goes over the rocks, it's breaking off those sharp pieces or breaking down the rock and making it smooth. So that's how water breaks it down. Kaden, you had something?
I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay. Porter?
I was going to say that too.
You were going to say that? You were ahead of me? Oh, I should have let you speak. Yes, Izzy.
So if you get like a super big pointy rock
Mm-hmm.
and chuck it in a river, then eventually you will just be super smooth.
Mm-hmm. Because the water's breaking off those pieces. Okay, one more, Maya.
If you like left a rock, like a big rock outside for a month,
Mm-hmm.
then it's probably by the end of the month it's all going to be broken.
Broken? Yeah, it's going to look different. And that's because of weathering and these different things, right? So let's do wind. Wind is another thing that weathers rocks. So there's a kind of rock on your way to Goblin Valley that looks pretty cool. Goblin Valley is in southern Utah. Now this rock, if you look at it, let me draw a picture. It kind of looks like a mushroom. So it has this skinny base and then this big top and this skinny base again.
Oh, those are the things.
So what happens is the wind is blowing, blowing, blowing. And as it's blowing, it's picking up the sand and flinging it at this rock. So as it flings at the rock, the sand hits the rock and it chips little pieces away. But the wind isn't strong enough and the sand is too heavy to get the sand up here to chip away at here. So the sand is just constantly hitting this spot right here, breaking it down. And right, as soon the wind will keep hitting it, the sand will keep hitting it, and this will get smaller and smaller and smaller, and then this will just fall. Kerplop. Yes, Archer. Say that a little louder. Sorry.
Where did the wind just squish it to? Because it just goes so good.
Yeah, you mean the wind hitting it? Kind of, but what does the wind has the rock, the little sediments are like kind of dust, and we don't really feel that sometimes. But here it is, you can feel it, so it makes it faster. Yes, Kaden?
Are those how the big huge boulders are created?
Possibly. Yeah, because you could get a big boulder falling off of this, and then there's more boulders. Okay, last question? You got it? Okay. Our third one is ice and glaciers. So let's think, when you guys should all be familiar with this one because we see it every winter. So when water freezes, it expands, right? It gets bigger. So when we are driving down the road and you're driving and it's going because the road is so bumpy, do you guys ever feel that? So that's because the water from the snow got into the road. And then at night, when it gets really cold, it expands and makes bigger cracks in the sidewalk. So the water goes into the hole, it expands, and then you have bigger cracks. And that's why when you're driving down the road, it goes da-da-da-da. Yes, Hunter?
Is that why in sidewalks, like after every winter, it seems like the cracks in between the sidewalks are bigger?
I think Hunter is on to something. Yes. Yes, Porter.
Is that the cause of avalanches? Do they like get behind the rocks and then push them out?
The cause of avalanches. I don't know, actually. That is a good question. Maybe that's something you can go home and look up.
Google it.
Google does know a lot. All right, so that's ice. What about glaciers? So glaciers move so slow. They move slower than sloths. They're so slow. Or snails.
Sloths are that slow.
Yeah, they're not too slow.
Or turtles.
Okay, come back. So, as glaciers, they take thousands and thousands and thousands of years to move all the way down a mountain. But as they're going, the ice of the glacier sitting on the rock, as it's going, it's pushing on this rock and breaking little pieces of it off as it goes. So as the glacier goes down, it breaks rocks off, and then you have little pieces of rocks, and the rocks looks different. Okay, what's weathering? Breaking down. Let's try that one more time. What's weathering? Breaking down. Thank you. All right, this last one is called, will this pop up? Look at Mr. Green saving the day. Is called the force of gravity. So gravity can break down rock as well. So here in my hands I have a couple of rocks. Now, imagine these rocks are on the top of a hill and they get knocked down. So they're falling down and they're just hitting each other. They're hitting each other, hitting. Oh, my hands. Are these rocks? What's happening when these rocks hit each other?
It's making sand.
They're breaking the rocks down, aren't they? Is the rock getting smaller? Yes, Maya.
It's making dust or dirt coming out.
You're right. So Mr. Green and I were doing this on Friday. We were hitting these rocks together, and this rock used to be one rock, and now it's two, because as gravity, as they hit each other going down, they're breaking the rocks, and they're breaking off these little pieces. So that's breaking down the rock as well. So what's weathering?
The breaking down of rocks.
Weathering, breaking down. Thank you. All right, let's. Oh, I forgot we go back and forth. No, you're good. Aren't you glad Mr. Green's here to run our technology? He is the teacher of teachers. All right, we're going to watch a quick video real quick on weathering. Can I play it or do you play it?
YouTube, I'm not allowed to watch YouTube. I'm not allowed to watch
Probably. I don't know. Not yet. Thanks.
Will you have Cayman call his mom?
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Isn't the world amazing? Isn't where we live, all these different things happen to make rock break down or weather? So, mechanical weathering or physical weathering is the disintegration or breaking down of earth material without undergoing a chemical change. We'll talk about chemical changes on, what's today, Monday? I think we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. So physical weathering results in increased surface area for chemical reactions to occur on. So physical or mechanical weathering, when water expands as it freezes and the cracks then thaws. What was the example I gave of that? Caden.
During the winter when the water gets inside the road and then overnight it freezes and expands, so in the morning it's more bumpy because the cracks have expanded.
Yes, thank you. So when water at night during the winter gets into the cracks and it expands and makes the cracks bigger. Second one, when rocks are heated by day and cooled by night. So think about like the constant, when things are heated and then they freeze and then they heat and the freeze, it causes them to break apart because they're expanding and shrinking and expanding and shrinking. All right, the third one, when roots of plants break up the earth. This is called root wedging. Have you ever been walking home from school and you trip on the sidewalk and you look down and the sidewalk's kind of uneven? Yeah. This is all the time. This is because the root often gets under the sidewalk and breaks up the rock a little bit and makes them uneven. Yes, did you have something?
When the trees grow up with the roots, you know how they grow underground, they kind of come up and then they come out like totally the sidewalk. They can go up and down depending where the root goes.
Yes, the sidewalk goes up and down because of where the root is, because the root's in there, breaking down the rock, making things uneven. Maya.
So we have this tree that was there when we moved, but and the sidewalk was all nice. Now you can see where the root is chipping at it. Because it's not cracking, it's just lifting.
It's lifting it. Oh, that's an interesting observation. Thank you, Maya. Yes, Elsa.
So I had one on when I was walking to the next one and looked up. And it's like I put on it once. But now I'm sure I'm careful around it. Because it's slanted, but it's like up that much.
It's up that much.
A little over an inch.
Yeah, you have to be careful where you walk. Yes, Archer.
Adam.
Adam, Archer's sitting next to you. Thank you.
So at my house, there's a sidewalk that like goes up a lot, and I ride on my scooter, and I always like my scooter like kind of does a split.
And you fall off every time?
Yeah.
Yes, Skylar.
My house here, so we have a doorway and then there's a sidewalk up to it. And there's a big crack like that. And whenever I'm riding a scooter, I have to push off before I go.
So to make sure you get over the crack? Yeah, because it gets in your way. Yes, Nate.
When I ride my hoverboard, like on the sidewalk, sometimes I have to get off, and it annoys me so much because there's just like a ton of cracks in the sidewalk. Like where like one part of the sidewalk ends and another one starts, it's like this much of a difference.
Yeah, it's kind of hard when you're riding your hoverboard because it's not smooth. Okay, 3 more. Amelia, Izzy, then Caden.
So around my neighborhood, there's sidewalk, and part of the sidewalk is like really far up, and then some of it is like super far down, so it's very uneven.
Yeah, because it's going like that. Yes, Izzy.
When my apartment, like my old apartment, when I was in Memphis, like the sidewalk is just flat, but in the middle of the like piece of sidewalk, there's like that much of a like height distance.
Is there?
Might be because of it, because there are like 2 trees near it.
Yeah, because it's unbalanced
Or
it.
might have been because of an earthquake or something.
Yeah, those are good questions to think about. Yes, Caden, what was yours?
So one place in my neighborhood, actually there are 2,
Mm-hmm.
but one big use of the sidewalk is that exists, and then when it
the opposite diagonal. Thank you for sharing that. Did you guys just see how many observations you are already aware of in your everyday life? Almost all of you had something that you could share with me about how you see weathering affecting where you live. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so this fourth one, this one's kind of cool, is when the outer surface of rock peels like an onion skin due to pressure relief. Do you guys know how an onion has all these layers? Have you ever cut up an onion and started crying everywhere and you feel like, whew, you don't know what to do? It affects me. I cry every time I cut an onion. So this onion has all these different layers that kind of break off and peel off. That's the same thing that happens to rocks sometimes. I don't know. So you have this rock that's peeling like an onion because the pressure inside of it gets so high, gets so built up, that pieces start breaking off. Boom, boom, boom. It's kind of a cool concept. So rocks in our lives every day are breaking apart. One rock that you see today, maybe you'll come back tomorrow and it looks a little different. And then you come back the next day and it looks a little different because it is constantly being weathered or breaking down. What's this? Weathering. Breaking down. Let's try that one more time. Weathering. Breaking down. Perfect. Thank you. So I know you're not going to like me, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of homework. Mr. Green, do you know where I put those? Oh, right there. Thank you. So, and you guys, I already know you can do this because you just gave me like 15 examples. So I'm going to give you a paper, and your homework tonight is to take this paper home, and as you're walking home from school or you're outside playing, I want you to look for examples of weathering, and I want you to write them down. So I want you to write, my sidewalk is cracked, and that's caused by the roots breaking up the earth, root wedging. So I want you to walk around and see how many of these you can find, and then bring this back tomorrow. And there's 4 problems on here, but I only want you to do the first one. So look, I'm giving you homework, but I'm not even making you do all of it. How lucky are you guys? Very. Yes, that's a good answer. What'd you say? Nothing. Is that a bad habit? It's a good habit if you want me as your teacher. All right. So what's weathering?
Breaking down.
And is it breaking down grapes?
No.
What's it breaking down?
Rocks.
Rocks. Weathering is breaking down rocks. Breaking down the grapes?
Narrow it down and put it in the middle of a grape.
Yeah. Alrighty. And that's all we have for today. So go home, put this in your folder to take home, and bring it back tomorrow. When are you bringing it back?
Tomorrow.
Oh, you're bringing it back on Friday?
No. Yes. Tuesday.
Oh, you're bringing it back on Wednesday.
Yes.
What day are we bringing it back?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, tomorrow. Make sure you don't forget it and bring it back. Did I give enough? Will you hand one back for Dylan? Okay. And if you guys will put that in your folder or whatever you'd use to take home, we are going to go over your book report for this month. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Go over that last sheet, remember, only do number 1. Before we start, let's talk about book report now, or do you want that one?
What? As many as you can find. Yes.
Thought. I mean, some people think that the greatest
Thank you.
prime minister in England is Lord Palmerston, while others are convinced it's Pitt the Elder.